Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Judicial Proceedings Committee. Today is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. We are on voting list 13, and we're going to start off with Senate Bill 412.
So this bill was, we're secondary on this bill, and this bill passed the Finance Committee 10-0. Senate Bill 412, as amended, generally codifies the community forensic aftercare program within the Department of Health to monitor persons as found as not criminally responsible who are on conditional release and individuals with mental illness or intellectual disability who are required to be monitored under statutory provisions pertaining to individuals found to be not criminally responsible or incompetent to stand trial. The bill also specifies new requirements for the program, codifies the existing board, named the Community Monitoring Board under the bill, consisting of licensed healthcare providers to make recommendations and decisions relating to conditional release and out-of-state travel requests as specified. The Department of Health must adopt regulations to carry out the bill.
So motion for a favorable? Seconded? Is everyone okay being?
With the amendments. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Senate Bill 412 with the amendment passes unanimously. Josh, Senate Bill 936.
Senate Bill 936 prohibits a person from stopping, standing, or parking a vehicle in a bus stop zone if a transit vehicle is present in the zone except under specified circumstances. These violations would be enforced by automated enforcement systems. Currently, those systems in statute are named bus lane monitoring systems. The bill would amend that to bus obstruction monitoring systems. There are two amendments in your packet. The first one is 363-227/1 from Senator Muse. This would rename the bill to the Chris West Act of 2026.
We got a proper motion in a second.
And the other amendment is a number 103-828/1. This amendment adds a definition of bus stop zone to the bill.
What is that?
So it's on page 4 of the reprint, and I can read it. It means the portion of roadway designated or used for loading and unloading passengers from a bus or transit vehicle. It includes an area for loading and unloading passengers from a bus or transit vehicle that is designated by signage or pavement markings or identified in a transit agency's published schedule or route map. It also includes a bus transit station and a transit corridor, as is defined earlier in the bill.
Senator Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that amendment. That was very helpful. That was my first question. My second question is this any bus stop, or is this only those bus stops in dedicated bus lanes?
No, it would be any bus stop.
Okay, so we're doing camera enforcement of any bus stop.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
It's already a law for dedicated bus lanes, but there are very few dedicated bus lanes. In my part of the state, we have almost no dedicated bus lanes. So you have a lot in Montgomery County, but not in Baltimore County or Baltimore City. So, so this would extend the current rule to apply to regular roads, not just dedicated bus lanes. The bill was pitched to me. I was shocked that it wasn't already the law. So what this says is if you have the authority to stop in a bus zone, you can do it. If you don't, which means most of us don't have the authority to do that, then you can stop to actively load or unload passengers when a bus is not there. You know, it just makes sense.
This was a topic of discussion on the bus lane bill, and it's a massive expansion, which is why it wasn't included in that bill. And that's why we kept that bill to bus lanes only. I just want everyone to understand the massive expansion that this is of cameras to every single bus stop, just so everybody knows that, that's all.
So move the amendment and then, actually, go ahead, Jeff.
So just to follow up on both of the points you made, I'm confused by the phrase that you use, Senator West, when the bus is not there. In other words, if you pull up to unload a disabled passenger and then the bus later arrives, are you obstructing or are you not obstructing?
You would not be violating the law if you were in the process of unloading a passenger. But you can't park there. Once you've finished unloading the passenger, you need to move out of the bus stop.
All right, so let's adopt the amendment. Is everyone okay with the amendment? Yeah.
That failed.
It failed, unfortunately. All right, so now the bill's before you as amended. Discussion. All right, there's been a motion for favorable and seconded. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? All right, Senator McKay and Senator Lumberdown. Seriously, or? All right, Senate Bill 936 with the amendment passes 7-2. All right, we're now going to go on to Senate Bill, Jamie, you ready for 620?
Senate Bill 620 expands the convictions that qualify a defendant for subsequent offender enhanced sentencing provisions for violations relating to wearing, carrying, or transporting a handgun to include prior convictions from another state or a federal, military, or Native American tribal court that, if committed in Maryland, would constitute a violation of 4203, which pertains to wearing, carrying, or transporting a handgun in the state. 4204 of the criminal article, which pertains to use of a handgun or antique firearm in commission of a crime. 4101 of the criminal article, dangerous weapons, or 4102, deadly weapons on school property.
Wasn't there an amendment on this, like to get a Native American tribal court or military court? Wasn't there?
No, we didn't receive an amendment.
All right, what's your pleasure? Discussion? Okay. It's a motion for favorable. It's been seconded. No discussion? Okay. Do we need a roll call? All right, everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Okay.
Can I get 20 seconds?
All right, so Senate Bill 620 passes unanimously. All right, we'll do Senate Bill 475, if council can just tell us what the bill does.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 475 prohibits the creative expression of a defendant or respondent from being admitted against the defendant or respondent in a criminal or juvenile proceeding unless the court makes specified findings. The bill does not preclude the admission of creative expression in juvenile cases for the purpose of evaluating, recommending, or ordering referral to mental health services or diversion programs. Proposed amendment language that would alter the bill and is fairly new language, so just kind of getting into it, but would provide that in any criminal proceeding or juvenile proceeding, the creative expression of a defendant or respondent is not admissible against the defendant or respondent unless the court, one, finds that the probative value of the creative expression outweighs the prejudicial effect of the creative expression being admitted, and if the court first finds that the probative value of the creative expression outweighs the prejudicial effect of the creative expression being admitted, finds by a preponderance of the evidence that there is a close temporal and factual nexus between the creative expression and the alleged offense, that the defendant or respondent intended the creative expression to be literal rather than figurative or fictional, or if the creative expression is derivative, that the defendant intended to adopt the literal meaning of the creative expression as their own, and the creative expression is relevant to a disputed issue of fact.
Can we just focus on, can you go back to the close temporal language?
Sure.
And can you just help us understand what that means in terms of,
so
I don't want to lay out something, because this is important. If it's a month ago or a year ago, vice 20 years ago, what does the close temporal nexus language mean? What are the implications for that activity, the admittance of that activity?
So my read of that is that, yeah, the closer in time you are, that's the close temporal nexus. So if 20 years or 50 years has gone by, there's less of a temporal nexus between the expression and the alleged offense. So hypothetically, if somebody was committed a murder in 1980 and then sings about it today, almost 40 years later.
46 years. Time flies.
30, was, 1980, yeah.
That's 46 years.
Yeah, 46 years. There's not really a temporal nexus there. It's not a close temporal nexus. Whereas if it happened yesterday and you sang about it today,
Yeah, I mean, go ahead if you want it, but I think just it's a significant, I mean, that's a policy choice, which is not insignificant, I think. So that's not in the bill, that's in the amendment. What did there was a Court of Appeals case on this, now the Supreme Court, but at the time, Court of Appeals. What was the finding? Because the facts are pretty much, it overlays pretty similarly to the scenarios that we've been kicking around over the last couple of weeks.
so this was Montague versus State in 2020. It's 471 Maryland 657. And just reading from the case, The danger of unfair prejudice when admitting a defendant's rap lyrics is alleviated when a close nexus between the lyrics and the alleged crime justifies their admission. When a defendant's rap lyrics have an otherwise close nexus to an alleged crime, the inclusion of, there were stop snitching lyrics in this case, stop snitching references that explicitly or implicitly threaten witnesses strengthens that nexus. In such a case, the defendant authored rap lyrics become increasingly probative of the defendant's guilt because the threats recited in the lyrics make it more probable that the defendant committed the crime. So I don't, I have to do a second look here. I think that the nexus is more factual that the court was looking at.
You mean
No, they're-
like factual, not time?
They did look at at time. So the court, yeah, the court did also consider a temporal nexus between the lyrics and the murder, determining that let's see, that evaluated whether there was a weak temporal nexus in one case. The probative value of a rap lyric was also undermined by an extraordinarily weak temporal nexus to a crime because they were composed 2 years before the crime occurred. So they did look at the timing is important, but I think in that case they were also just looking at the order of events.
You could be forecasting.
You could be forecasting, yeah.
Senator,
I think, so I'm in strong favor of this bill. And obviously people's personal expression, especially when you have issues of kind of racial justice involved, should not be utilized against them. In what I'm hearing from the case, the phrase was close nexus. But we, in the amendment, have the phrase close temporal and factual nexus, which provides the judge less latitude in figuring out what they're trying to do. In my mind, if we are to essentially codify the court's ruling, which I believe is appropriate, then we should probably use their phrase, close nexus, and not further limit the judge's ability by using the phrase close temporal and factual nexus. Because just as it is unclear to us what that means as we're writing the bill, so too will it be unclear to a judge what, 20 years seems like a long time, 1 year seems like not a long time. I don't know if 5 or 10 years, and I provided the sponsor with a case where it was 5 years later and the gentleman was convicted. So I think close nexus is probably the appropriate phrase.
We can have a conference committee and
Figure it out later.
can work it out later on. You can be on the conference committee.
That's what I've been told.
the free expression. I understand what the court was getting at and what the vice chair was getting at. I'd rather see it in writing, but I don't really want to hold up this bill because I think it's a really important bill. I haven't read the case, so I don't know. Right. Did they pass it in this form? They have not passed it.
Hope that we can get all four of these bills on a second reader calendar in our first session that starts at noon, so that we'll be on third reader in the second session later in the afternoon. I move favorable. He's second.
Vice Chair Waldstreicher,
Yes.
Senator Sidnor,
Yes.
Senator West,
Yes.
Senator Muse,
Yes.
Senator Henson,
Yes.
Senator Love,
Yes.
Senator McKay,
Nay, to be consistent in 25 and 24.
Senator Charles,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. All right, Senate Bill 475 passes 8-1.
Yes.
All right, 715 has been on the list before. It's a local bill, Washington County. It's for their truancy court. It's, so Senate, so it's not on here because we didn't have approval yet, but it's Senate Bill 715. It's been on the, 715. It's been on the list before, but it's got a little bit of a fiscal so we finally got it approved.
Do you want Josh to explain it?
Josh, go ahead and roll it,
Senate Bill 715 authorizes the Circuit Administrative Judge for the Fourth Circuit to establish a truancy reduction pilot program in the juvenile court in Washington County.
Motions were favorable. Is everyone okay being recorded in the affirmative? Okay, excellent. All right, Senator Sidnor's down. He's not down, so he's down. Put that in your rap lyric and try to submit it into evidence. Not anymore. All right. All right. Sorry. All right. Senate Bill 715 passes unanimously. 8-1. Was it 8-1 or 7-1?
8-1.
8-1. All right. There you go. All right. That's probably just as good as the real Smith's rap lyrics anyway. All right. I'll see you later.